What does it mean to be in bondage? It just means not to be enjoying your position in Christ. It means not to be enjoying the blessing that has been given to you freely, but thinking that this blessing is only available if you meet certain conditions. So with Galatians, the issue is not how are you saved, but what is required that I can enjoy the blessings of God. The Judaizers and the false believers and the confused believers who are legalistic, who are Galatianized, are trying to separate justification that secures the blessing itself. They say that justification takes care of your eternal salvation, but if you want the blessing, if you want the Spirit, if you want the fruit, if you want to know God, it is a matter of other requirements. Paul answers that it is all by faith. Having begun in the Spirit, you're not going to be perfected in the flesh. It all comes by the hearing of faith. The same way you have received the gospel is the same way you enjoy the gospel, which is the promise of the Spirit. It is through faith, not by any other means. Just a little leaven will leaven the whole lump. Consider the example that Paul refers to with Peter in Galatians 2. All Peter did was to eat with Gentiles, and when brothers from Jerusalem, from James, came, he shrank back from eating with the Gentiles in fear, because to the Jews, the Gentiles are unclean. That is a little leaven. It doesn't seem like that big of a deal. It is not like he was imposing something or standing up and saying, okay, let's all obey Moses, or teaching a heretical doctrine. But by not eating with the Gentiles, he sent the message that the Jews were right. The Gentiles are unclean, and even though you are saved, you are still not clean. You have to be ceremonially cleansed to enjoy fellowship and have the blessing. Because of the subtlety of the message that was being broadcast to everyone through fear, even though he was just getting up from the table, Paul rebuked him publicly. He rebuked him publicly in front of everyone, the Gentiles and the Jews from Jerusalem. He had to point out clearly what this implied. This is where people are saying that Paul was just immature and overreacting to something that was not that big of a deal. No, it's a little leaven, and it's going to leaven the whole lump. By Peter just getting up from the table and not eating with the Gentiles, he is reestablishing the law and even calling Christ a minister of sin, Galatians 2:17. He is rebuilding what he destroyed and saying, I'm a transgressor, Galatians 2:18, for eating with the Gentiles. He was essentially repudiating the freedom we have in Christ, that to the pure all things are pure, Titus 1:15. And it's not what enters the body that defiles it, Mark 7:5, and that we are justified by faith in the blood and can fellowship, and that we are not under any kind of yoke of bondage. He was broadcasting that this freedom is transgression, and that he is sinning, and this makes Christ and the gospel a ministry of sin. This is so heavy. Yet on the surface, getting up from the table seems like just a little leaven. Again, this is something subtle with which we are dealing. Galatians deals with a subtle error that can be hard to spot because those who operate in it seem like they are speaking the same language we are. This is why I sat at the Reformed Church for 3 years trying to figure out what is wrong here. It is because they would not admit what they really believe.